All right, so this video is about defending NRS's poor writing. Well, first off, I don't think it's bad at all. Right, the writing was not bad. It's just not deep. I mean, it doesn't need to be deep. It is a fighting game, but I don't know. Look, I feel a little indifferent than most people. A lot of people say, it doesn't need to be deep. It doesn't need to be deep. But on the contrary, um, Mortal Kombat 9 and Armageddon, they kind of disagree with that. See, this is new Mortal Kombat game. It's missing deeper lore for this brand new world. It relies on past knowledge for a brand new world that wouldn't make sense for this world. They went for grand epic, but did not flesh out the world they are in right now. See, in Mortal Kombat 9, they took the typical basic story of Mortal Kombat and deepened it with the kind of plan in time as well, but we seeing more stories fully fleshed out, the character of Cyrax, Sector more fleshed out, a little bit more into Shao Kahn's goals and the ideals of hierarchy amongst mortals and immortals and elder gods, which yes had already been kind of layered with Armageddon as well, but it was bringing in a new generation into that game, into that lore. Then Mortal Kombat X happened, and I don't know, they didn't really go really deep with that one. They was trying to show us the I guess the characters and how they would develop in the future and the new combat kids and trying to take the story a different route. I would still say it had a little bit more depth to it maybe than MK1. And again, I don't think MK1's story was bad. It's just I'm talking about, depth. I'm talking about being multi-dimensional and not on a timeline sense either, but in writing. And in Mortal Kombat 11, we get the introduction of Titans, which was cool. It kind of deepens it as well. But we get into this kind of time loop and stuff like that where things are replaying and old is merging with new, which is kind of cool. And it does introduce us to other elders, and it does give us deeper context to Shinnok's sister, Cetrion, mother, Chronica. So those layers to it, yes. But still not like Mortal Kombat 9, where we had this long, flushed out story that played the entire events of the tournament, showed that there's certain fates that are bound to happen no matter how they play out, showed Raiden's struggle. We see the beginning of how Raiden will kind of amount to anything to protect Earthrealm way before we even get Dark Raiden. A Mortal Kombat Armageddon, we get the full fleshed out, or I should say the climax of Onaga, the Dragon King, throughout that trilogy with Deadly Alliance and dang it, I always forget the other one. Armageddon, Deadly Alliance, and Deception. Dang it. We get the full play with Onaga, his rise and fall, Shao Kahn and his ascension during that. We have demigods, Dagon and Taven, who are introduced, and so many layers to like the mythos of Mortal Kombat was added into it. Deep layers into it. Maybe it was beyond its time at that time. It's something that back then when I played it, I wasn't paying that much attention to. It was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. Okay, yeah. I'm going on a different mission. I'm going on this and that. Okay, cool. Fast forward and you're like, yo, this is some rich history, because we don't get it anymore. So with that being said, Mortal Kombat 1, like I said, was not deep, but it wasn't bad writing. But I have a defense actually for Mortal Kombat 1. Yes, I'm gonna defend Mortal Kombat 1's one-dimensional writing for this game. So I honestly think it was done so well that they accomplished both on the low. They accomplished telling a basic story while actually creating some depth or creating a pathway to more enriched history. So yes, they popped the multiverse open sideways on its spleen, but they are actually still rolling out the deeper lore past this. They made the battle epic, and it seemed like they just jumped the gun. Deadly Alliance, and then straight into Armageddon. But they still have heavy lore building going on right now. So it was crazy to see just how fast the Deadly Alliance happened with Shang Tsung, with Quan Chi and Shao Kahn, or I'm sorry, General Shao right now. But I think that was kind of a good thing because it shows it shows their history now versus in the past. They just have a history already, kind of, in the first Mortal Kombat games and even in MK9. There's just already this kind of history there that if MK9 is before Armageddon and all of that, it is kind of weird that it's like a different timeline of it because he prevents it from happening. But anyway, it is kind of weird that Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn already have this kind of this history with each other that's pretty vague. This gives us an understanding as to why Quan Chi would mess with Shang Tsung, why Shang Tsung would mess with Shao Kahn, and now fast forward, really why they might not mess with each other. Well, Shang Tsung and Quan Chi look like they're still going to be the best of pals, but if you paid attention to a lot of the character endings since the end of Mortal Kombat, spoiler warning. By the way, this whole video is going to have spoilers, so if you haven't seen Mortal Kombat 1, or watched the game or played the game, just go ahead and leave now because I'm diving into all of it. But anyway, if you haven't played some of the character endings, Shao Kahn or General Shao is not messing with Shang Tsung anymore. So he does not trust him, which creates deeper history. We are seeing some things that are being fleshed out now, or that are being played out now, they'll be fleshed out later down the road, should they play their cards right. And I think they're going to, because there's something special about these character endings in this game compared to previous games. We'll get into that in a second. Now, I don't think it's a means of hoping that they do, later build more lore, simply because looking at the end of the game, and again, like I said, the character endings, we see evidence that we are undiscovering more and more lore and history right now. The game is supposed to be supported for a very long time, and I honestly think that's just going to mean more and more lore, more and more chapters added, more aftermaths, if you will, probably at least 2. That's what I'm suspecting. For sure we're getting 1, but I think it's really going to be like 2, maybe even 3 DLC continuous stories. It's not that hard to do. Spider-Man did it with multiple DLC continuation stories in the first Spider-Man PS4 game. One was a little on, I think, Miles. One was on Black Cat. Then they came out with a small little Miles Morales game, which is really good. There's plenty of ways to continue the story of Mortal Kombat within this game before making a Mortal Kombat 2, if you will. Plenty of ways we can get deeper and deeper into it. Yes, through Invasions, but I think Invasions is just gonna play hard into the timeline jumping, multiverse hopping, other timelines are invading. But I think the aftermaths, if you will, be perfect. Now, we do see Titan Havoc, Lord Havoc, whatever, at the end of the game. I don't think he's going to be in the aftermath. At least I hope not. He might. And actually, now I think about it, there were some data mine leaks that Dynasty talked about that showcases, and it looks like he might be in it, or that he will be a part of it. But I think that's just I think the whole timeline merging on that one, or invading, is gonna be a small part to the deeper lore that they're continuing, because it looks like a lot of that is further in the Lin Kuei and the Shirai Ryu, further beef, cyber ninjas, yada yada yada. So like I said, the game being supported just means more and more lore. Now, Johnny Cage ending gives insight on the true exploration of Mortal Kombat. So, if you've been paying attention, Mortal Kombat 1 is just the beginning. Really, they already had Mortal Kombat 1, the movie that came out a few years ago. Love it or hate it. I'm kind of in between. There's a lot of parts I love about it. There's a lot of parts I'm highly annoyed with. They had Mortal Kombat Onslaught, the mobile game that leaked last year. A lot of people played it. Unfortunately, I didn't. And I'm still waiting for that mug to drop so I can play it. We have several Mortal Kombat animated movies that have come out over the last few years. 3 specifically. Scorpion's Revenge, and I forgot the second one, but it had the actual tournament in it. And then the third one is one of my favorite, which is Snowblind. And then we have the Johnny Cage movie coming up, which I'm like, okay, I guess I'm excited for. It just seems very odd. However, whereas it might have been confusing at first to look at these movies and say, well, why are they all in different timelines? Why can't they have a more cohesive universe going on? Like, why couldn't the cartoon movies be spin-offs to the main live action movie, in which they left so much history out of? You know, my original thought was, yeah, well, if you're trying to make a universe out of it, why not do it right? Why not have TV shows or movies that give more love to these characters that you barely put in the spotlight in this first movie, while you gave so much extra time to a made-up character? Let me not go on a tangent right there. Rolling it back. Anyway, however, all of these movies have kind of been in different timelines. The first 2 Mortal Kombat movies are in the same timeline, but they are wildly different from the rest of Mortal Kombat when it comes to the ending. Anyway, you know, with the rise of Shinnok and the one being kind of, which I'm not really a fan of how they rushed into that. But whatever, it was still a good movie, the first and second one. Snowblind is its own movie, which takes place after Mortal Kombat 11. It's a one hell of a movie, and it takes place, spoiler alert, if you have not seen that movie, definitely go check it out. If you want to check it out and you haven't seen it, fast forward like 30 seconds from now. But it takes place where Kano takes Chronica's crown and rules time and changes time up, yada, yada, yada. So, now we get Johnny Cage's ending in this Mortal Kombat 1 game. And it is the most fourth wall breaking, awesome ending to me, because it confirms what Ed Boon tweeted about years ago, or not years ago, I'm tripping, months ago, maybe about a year ago, saying we have more pots on the stove. If you look at the ending and truly pay attention, he has concept art up for different monsters that was probably actually used for this game, if not other games. He has a concept art that legit looks like Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, who we now know is confirmed to be playing Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2. Then, when they zoom out, you see Tanya and I think it was Kenshi sitting at a table and they're talking, and one of them is holding a tablet and it says Mortal Kombat Onslaught on it. And they're like talking and laughing, I guess, about the game, or I guess about the production. And you see, you know, actually, those are 2 different slides, because on the same slide where we have Johnny Cage showcasing the concept art, you see Liu Kang is sitting in front of him with the director's hats and stuff, and a laptop out, like they're, you know, that's probably was running the slide and things like that. And the next slide, you see 2 of the characters kind of arguing over their script, and like I said, the other kind of, I guess you could say, Easter eggs. But I think that is NRS saying, hey, we got more stuff coming. I don't think they just have Onslaught coming. I think they might have a whole nother game. They might have, well, my hopes is that they have a single player game that takes place in the world of Mortal Kombat 1 that drives the story further. And it's just a single player game that will be in between Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 2. Something that can maybe come out next year, the year after. Maybe it doesn't need to be heavily supported. It's just a really cool story with the open world adventure. And I don't know, that'd be pretty dope. But then the way games are now, they could just update that type of mode into Mortal Kombat 1. Well, no, it wouldn't be as good. I'm tripping. That's a lot of development to just be uploaded into an already fully created game. However, if you play other games like that of Smite or Siege, just for example, I'm sure countless others, there's a lot of content that could be added into the game way after it drops. Like, for example, Create a Fighter, which everyone is on saying it must be coming. It's more than likely coming. They could easily upgrade it or update the game. You know, it might take a whole day's update, depending on how slow your PlayStation is or slow your internet. But before you know it, you'll have a created character. So, Johnny Cage's ending gives us a lot of insight on how they do plan on further in the Mortal Kombat world. But again, it's through the multiverse timeline. That's not my favorite piece of news, but it is pretty amazing. But that does let me know they plan on like I just said, furthering the multiverse idea through other content, which lets me know they're probably going to slow it down on Mortal Kombat 1. They probably wanted to create this story of Mortal Kombat 1 to create the basis of this entire universe that they're going to be spinning off in different movies, so that it makes sense why we have movies that have weird timelines that don't make sense to anything else, like Snowblind, which I love, but it did take me off. I was like, okay, that was a weird throw. We just got thrown into a whole nother universe with no explanation until the ending of it. This Johnny Cage movie looks like a whole different universe from the previous two animated movies. So that sets a premise, and I think they will set that premise because they don't really plan on lingering too much on the timeline stuff in Mortal Kombat 1's timeline. Hopefully not too much longer. Hopefully it's like sparingly. It's something like, oh, every now and then we're going to talk about it. They're going to be kind of little things, but the main focus will be the characters that are growing, the characters that are developing into further things, dynasties rising and falling, new groups forming like the Shirai Ryu, etc. I think this is the gateway to the multiverse, whereas Mortal Kombat 11 was the path to the multiverse. Mortal Kombat 11 kind of created this idea. Really, Mortal Kombat 9 created the idea of multiple timelines. Mortal Kombat 11 paid off of that. Mortal Kombat 1 said, you know what? We can take it even further. We might as well. I think this is where they should stop with it. I've said this in my previous video. I do think that the whole multiverse, multiple timeline things should come to a sort of rest, or a slow sizzle. Talk about multiple pots on the stove. It's boiling already. Bring it down to a slow sizzle. Let it cook slowly. Maybe pay it off further in the next 3 games or something like that, where another big multiverse event happens. I will say they've done it better than most multiverse movies lately, where they just try to throw everything at you in one go. And I am looking at you, DC and Marvel lately, even though I enjoy Marvel movies. They've kind of fallen off, but we're not going to talk about that right now. There's some movies that they've done where they've talked about the multiverse and it's great, and there's some where they've kind of been like piss poor. So I honestly think they did a good job. If you look at this in the long run, whether it was planned from the very beginning of Mortal Kombat 9 or whether they just kind of developed as they went along, Mortal Kombat 9, split timeline. Mortal Kombat X, dark timeline. Mortal Kombat 11, timelines clashing. Mortal Kombat 1, all the damn timelines. They did a pretty good job of slowly getting us into this. I am just kind of tired of it because I want to focus more on the characters and the lore of this timeline. What are the elder gods here? What are the protectors of the other realms here? What are demigods and their power struggle compared to elder gods or immortals? Exactly their placement, because it's been kind of foggy in the previous games. What are some of the deeper lore with the dragons in this universe? Dragons in the previous timelines were basically extinct, but here we have Shang Tsung talking about the Arctic dragons and things of that nature. So even though, yes, he was lying when he talked about where he made his potion from. However, he was telling a good lie because it had most people convinced, so I'm sure they wouldn't believe him if Arctic dragons were extinct in this timeline like they were in the other timeline, or like most dragons were. So many layers. What is on Shao Kahn's race now? Or General Shao's race now, that they just have horns and stuff imbued in them. And then Onaga, with the Onaga ending in Reiko and General Shao's character ending, it talks about how General Shao had an ancestor that took down Onaga, and they had horns. So horns isn't a birth defect like I thought before, because General Shao was born ill. It's not an unlocked power or something. He is not Onaga. I was wrong about that, which is fine. Theorizing is so fun, it doesn't matter. That's what's so fun about having this enriching lore that pulls you into it, is speculating, to me anyway. But I want to know more. I'm hungry for more, and I hope they don't get so hyped off of this timeline thing that they neglect their main story. But again, I'm here to defend and say, no, actually that's exactly what they're doing, is not neglecting their main story, but laying a lot of Easter eggs or laying a lot of things that will pay off later deeper into the story, while also still kind of riding this multiverse wave. I think it's a way to pull in the newer people into the game, to separate it from just another fighting game. Oh, it's this cool multiverse kind of timeline story, whatever, while still honoring people who've been a fan of this game for 20, 30 years. So, like I said, here's to hoping that they slow down the multiverse timeline card for a while. They did give us something that NRS has not done before. They connected the ending of all the characters, giving us a roadmap to what lies ahead. This is canon. It has to be. Why else would they change the format of each ending being in a different timeline, like they did in Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat X, where they all kind of contradict each other in a sense, or they just don't match up with each other. But now they all are connected in this new one. It only works with their multiverse timelines even more so if they kept them different. So why would they change it and make them all the same? It must be because they want other media to speak out about their whole multiverse idea. You know, games can do that. I think Mortal Kombat Onslaught is a different multiverse, because I was wondering when I was looking at Mortal Kombat Onslaught, I was like, either that takes place before the ending of Mortal Kombat 11 or something's a little odd about it. So I think it's a different alternate ending. You know, the animated movies, the live action movie, that speaks out to their multiverse. However, they want to utilize the character endings to tell the stories between Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 1 Aftermath, as well as between Mortal Kombat 1 Aftermath and Mortal Kombat 2, or whatever is next. They kept the momentum for all fans going. Like the new fans who don't know how deep in lore Mortal Kombat can get, they get the multiverse thing. However, they are indeed working on deeper lore, crafting that we can enjoy it in a slow burn. The big example is they seemingly rushed and took a different route with Kenshi's blade. No well of souls, right? For the commoner, this works fine, you know. But for us bigger fans, we know of the well and the power surge it gives Shang Tsung. Well, what happened to that? How will Shang Tsung get those souls? What will make him so powerful? Quan Chi took the souls from the forest, so where does Shang Tsung get his superge? That's not a word. Get his surge of power. Well, guess what? In Shang Tsung's character ending, he gets the Well of Souls and powers up to his next level, where we can assume will pay off in Mortal Kombat 2, if not sooner. And sure enough, we'll see the same for Onaga. But that is going to be for another video. Thank you so much for joining my video. Thank you so much for y'all support. We will have more content coming out for Mortal Kombat, coming out for Star Wars, and so much more. Once again, all I can say is thank y'all for y'all support. God bless, and I'll see you soon.